Welcome to the InfiNOT podcast. I'm Kiernimbus, and this is my co-host Daka. We're focused on the casual nature of the game and talking about our experiences playing our matches and all that great stuff. This week, holy moly, is there a lot to talk about. Before we get into the Big in Japan August season, the OTA changes, and the development roadmap that has all been dropped since the last podcast, how was your week in Marvel Snap, Daka?
My week in Marvel Snap has been awesome. We might not be the InfiNOT podcast for much longer because, man, I hit Omega.
You did.
And I did. I finally got Mr. Negative, and I love the Mr. Negative deck.
That's super cool.
Last night, for some reason, he was just like, what if I just popped out on turn 6 for like 5 games in a row, and I'm mad. But other than that, it's been great. And I finally got Boss.
I love Boss. I love Boss. Such a cool card.
I got me some Boss. All I need now is like Zabu, and I'm set. But I've just been rocking the Psylocke for now.
I do weep for you. It's almost like a point of privilege that I was there during the Zabu season because I have him in almost every one of my decks. It's just like a must-have for me.
Dude, I had Zabu in my shop once, but it was at a point where I wasn't playing the game because I had a lot of stuff going on that day, and like I just checked the game once and I was like, oh, Zabu, he's cool, but I'm sure I could use him, but I'll just see what flies out next. So I just turned my phone off, and then the next day was when Thanos showed up, so I was like, woo, Thanos! And I just completely forgot about Zabu, and here I am now, wishing I had Zabu.
Yeah, I mean, Zabu is an incredible card, but I will say, I think people are sleeping on Psylocke as an alternative. It's true that it's only Zabu for one turn, but it's the same cost, and you can set up a turn 6 with it, so I think people are sleeping on that. That being said, my week in Marvel Snap has been pretty good. I'm back to streaming daily, which is exciting, and I've been really vibing with a Black Bolt stature list when my big boys list isn't working out. That being said, OTA just came out, and holy moly, did my list get better. So much better. I'm really excited to talk about that. So let's go in order here. I think what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the OTA changes first, since that came out on August 3rd, and then we'll talk about the season pass content that dropped in the announcement video on the 4th, and then we'll talk about the future and what the development roadmap has, and there's some really juicy details on there. So starting out, I'm sure that you've definitely seen it. I think you and I even talked about it because it was so exciting. We'll go down the list starting with Hawkeye. So Hawkeye used to be on reveal. If you play a card here, he gets +2 power, but now he's been buffed to 3. I think that this makes him like a better Rocket Raccoon. Like I just don't see the disadvantage there.
I definitely agree. I've been using him in I have like a post-credits high Evo deck that I was rocking for a while before the blessed Lord Mr. Negative blessed me. And I swapped out, I don't remember who I swapped out, what's his name? M'Baku? Yeah. I swapped him out for Hawkeye for a little bit just to see how it went. And I mean, he's solid, is what I'll say, which is never a bad thing to have.
Yeah. I mean,
my strategy was just Hawkeye 1 and then like either Sunspot or Misty Knight 2. And like if I throw down Misty Knight, I'm only, I still have a power left over, so then he becomes a 1/4.
Yeah,
and,
no, I mean
it's nice.
It's insane, really, because I mean, when you think about it, let's compare him to some of the other 1-drops here. Rocket Raccoon, you have to predict where your opponent is playing. Sunspot, you need to skip 4 energy to get Sunspot to where he's at, and he costs 1, so that's 5 energy for 4 power. Let's compare him to a Doombot, right? Doombots right now are 4 power. So all of these cards are, pretty high cost for the power that you're getting. Hawkeye, You choose where he goes. The only downside is that your opponent knows where you're playing next. Which, I mean, they're not playing. Nobody's playing the Guardians. You're not going to get punished. I don't.
Yeah, you say that until a Groot comes out.
Oh, I guess that's true. But I will say it also. I've been hearing some mumblings that he might be really good in bounce decks, which I think I would agree with. Right? It will, when you think about it, your Kitty Pryde is going to max out at 6 power and you're spending 6 energy. She does have some other benefits, but again, when you compare the other cards to Hawkeye, I'm glad that he's good now. I'm really hyped for it. Moving on, I'm sure you like this change. Hulkbuster. Same card as before, he merges with a card, but now he has an extra power. Do you have any cool insights on this? Have you been playing around with it?
I played around with him a bit, just because I'm a Phoenix Force fan. I like me some Phoenix Force. So I mean, I'm not gonna be one to be a little upset when my Human Torch comes back a little bit stronger, or my Multiple Man comes back a little bit stronger. And it's been nice. And I mean, it's a flat buff. So in those drastic, awful scenarios where he's just the only card in the lane, he's a little bit better. So I like it.
Yeah, that is a really good point. A 3/5 stat line is nothing to scoff at. I mean, that's Polaris' stat line, and people think that that's a decent play. 3 for 5 is not bad. And I mean, for me particularly, I love him in my Deadpool deck. Like, before it was pretty good to land Hulkbuster on Deadpool and then destroy him, but now, I mean, I throw Deadpool down in a lane by himself, I throw Hulkbuster down, that's 6 power, I destroy Deadpool exactly once, I have a 112. Like, what the hell? Like, how can that be beat? It's insane. I really like the change, and I'm glad that Hulkbuster is going to see a lot more play, because I feel like it's a card that's oftentimes slept on. Now we just need a buff Forge. Poor guy. Yeah, poor guy. That being said, the 2 cards that I was most excited about, and these are flat number changes, so we can discuss the number changes quickly. Vision went from a 5/7 to a 5/8, which is a premium stat line for 5 costs. And then Captain Marvel dropped an energy, so now she's 4 energy, but she also dropped down a power, so she's 5 power now, so 4/5. I can start talking about this just because I'm so excited about it. My Is a Big Boys list has both Vision and Captain Marvel, and before I always had to make a choice between the two. Usually I had to go, okay, do I use my wave to play Marvel and Vision, or do I play a Spider-Woman and then a Captain Marvel or something like that? It oftentimes limited my choices, but now that Captain Marvel is a 4/5, that means Zabu suddenly makes her a 3/5. It's insane. A 3/5 that can win you the game, that is nothing to scoff at, and it's still better than a Doombot. So in the event that you have a Storm location, you don't have to be worried about that. She's bigger than Jeff. She's bigger than Nightcrawler. I really like the change. And Vision, I feel like people sleep on all the time. Obviously, now he's better with Shuri, so you get a 5/16 that can move, but also a 5/8, again, it's a good stat line for 5 costs. You're not really losing tempo by playing him, and you get to choose where he goes. So if you really need to switch up your play or do something like that, you totally can. What do you think?
So I do not have much experience with Captain Marvel, because I don't even think I have Captain Marvel. Which I don't. Yeah, I don't have Captain Marvel, so I don't really have much experience on the Captain Marvel front. But while I haven't really been playing very many move decks, the amount of move decks I have been playing against where I see Vision has gone up drastically. And I mean, I like it. He's pretty solid. He's as much power as you can get without, the stress of being Shang-Chi'd, and you can move him around and he can do stuff. I mean, I think it's great.
Yeah, no, I'm inclined to agree, especially because, I mean, obviously he's really good in ramp decks, but also, like, Jubilee is a great pick for him. I know it gets really crazy if you have, like, Iron Lad. You can copy Vision and then play Vision, and now you have a 4/6 and a 5/8 that can move around. Really insane, and I think Vision has a home in a little bit more decks. I'm hoping that more people play him, because the disparity between Captain Marvel and Vision is greater now, right? right? They used to be really close together with a similar-ish ability that you would play them for. But now I think they fill different niches, but still work together in the same deck. It's super cool. And I think this was especially needed because of Phoenix Force, right? Phoenix Force essentially was just a better version of both of these cards, and I think now you could argue to put these in your deck. Without continuing to talk about that, because I'm just super biased, I have both of these cards. I love them.
Wait, hold on,
what?
real quick. I opened because I don't really want any of the cards that are in the spotlight cache because I already have Thanos. So I saved up 3 of them. I caved and I opened one of them, and I got the random 4 or 5 series, and I got Iron Lad, and I cannot wait to make an Iron Lad deck. Oh man,
I'm so jealous of you right now. I'm so jealous. I have been meticulously saving my tokens. I am at like
I know
5,500. I've been waiting for a deck. You know I love my Jubilee decks, so I was super excited. Man, you got to tell me how that goes. I think right now he's probably strongest in ongoing decks, but you see him all over the place. So
yeah,
that's super cool. Speaking of cards in that same vein, the last card that we need to really talk about is Absorbing Man. I'm not sure that you even care about Absorbing Man. I certainly don't.
Oh, I love me some Absorbing Man.
You do?
I think
You
Absorbing Man is one of my favorite cards in the game.
Whoa. Okay, I really misread you. Are you happy about the 4/5 change? He went from a 4/3 to a 4/5.
I am beyond happy because, look, fact of the matter is, sometimes they throw down a Cosmo, and I'm a Cosmo lover. I love me some Cosmo. He's a cute pupper. That's my dog right there, literally.
Mm-hmm,
But you know, when it happens, it can suck because you just played a 4/3. So you know, he's not really worth a lot. But now he's a 4/5, so at least there is somewhat of a benefit if he does get Cosmoed. But I mean, you know, even if that doesn't happen, and I love Absorbing Man. I love him so much.
Yeah.
The world needs more Absorbing Man.
I think the thing about Absorbing Man is he really isn't all in. But at least he used to be, right? As a 4/3, the idea that you're playing him on tempo is awful, right? The only time that would be ever worth it is if like it's a last minute scenario, you see a storm is coming down, you don't have any other cards to play, throw 3 power on there. I think now that he's a 4/5, I really do agree with what you're saying, which is even if your opponent calls you out with a Cosmo, you're still beating them with tempo. You're still overpowering them, and Absorbing Man gets a benefit in those like buff decks, right? If you play a Black Panther and you have Zabu in play, now you have a 3/10. Right? Because it's going to copy that Black Panther. And then if you're running those greedy Moon Girl decks, I could just see like turn 5, you play Black Panther, you have 8 power on the board, and then boom, you have 2 3/10s throwing down. I don't think it's outlandish to think that. But yeah, I think it's a really cool change. I just don't play Absorbing Man. On reveal decks are my worst nightmare. I don't like the whole all-in combo. But I think it's definitely gonna boost his play rate. The only other thing to really talk about is they changed some like metal earn rates, and that's about it. That was the over-the-air patches.
No, I do want to take a moment to praise for just a quick moment the metal gain, because
sure, yeah.
Contest is something that I've wanted to get into more, and it's something I have been getting into more. I almost have the new variant for Mr. Sinister. I don't know if I'm going to grind it out before the season ends, but I love playing Conquest. It's really, really fun. You know, you have time to like really, you know, download your opponent and make those like big brain plays of actually outplaying their deck because you're playing against it so often. And I think it's a really fun, you know, like more competitive mode. And I love grinding through it and I love playing it, but man, you know, like going through like Silver and Proving Ground, you know, before you just kind of didn't really end up with a whole lot, I feel, which I know that to me personally, the experience of Conquest doesn't really start until Gold. But it is nice that, you know, going through Silver, you know, no matter what it is, you know, either if you just don't have as good of decks, or if you're just not as good at the game or whatever, you are at least getting more for putting in so much time, because I mean these games can take a while, especially if there's not a lot of snapping that's going on and y'all are both playing really, really reserved in your cubes.
Right, yeah.
So I feel like you get more for the time that you put in, which I feel is nice to some degree, especially, since you can get credits, gold, mystery variants, boosters, and stuff like that, which is always a good bonus for me.
Yeah, I can say, as somebody that doesn't play Conquest very much, it does make me feel a little bit, what's the word? It makes me feel like less scared to hop into some Conquest matches, because I feel like I'm going to get a better return on investment. That being said, I had a stream today where if I didn't play a meta deck, I lost, and that's the reason I don't like the mode.
I mean, like I said, it is definitely like the more competitive mode.
For sure.
So
yeah.
you are gonna run into like meta decks and stuff like that more. And I've still yet to actually clear an infinity ticket. I've come so close.
It's tough, man.
I've
It is so tough.
gotten to 4 wins and I lost on my 5th win, and it was a little bit soul crushing because I was right there. And like I said, I don't think I'm gonna really grind it out for the last 2 days because I just don't really care about Mr. Sinister. Like, it's a cool variant, but Mr. Sinister isn't like one of my favorite cards. Oh, I'm so sad I didn't get the Green Goblin one though. I love that the Red Goblin variant. It was so cool. But I wasn't in the grind set then.
It should be noted that these variants are not entirely exclusive to Conquest. You can still get these variants in your shop. The thing that I hate, though, is, of course, in order to make money, Second Dinner enforces FOMO all the time, which is really frustrating for someone like me who is like, I want to give you guys money. Can you just let me give you money instead of having to wait 16 weeks for me to get a cool Juggernaut variant or something? Like, come on, man.
Speaking of cool Juggernaut variants, I got his baby variant the other day.
Oh, the weenie,
where he's
the
like
Weenie Hut
busting
Jr.?
through the wall. Yeah.
Love that variant. It's very cute. Okay, yeah, so we'll go ahead and move on here from the over-the-air update. I really do like all of these changes. These cards are going to see a lot more play, and I think right now the meta's in a really great spot, so I'm really excited to see that. The Big in Japan season was just announced, and I shared with you the cards here, and I'm excited to go through them. I know that you're a Destroy enjoyer, but there's
might say
there is one card here that I'm more excited about than the rest, and I think you're going to be surprised. But before we get into that, let's go down the list here. So, starting card in the Big in Japan season, which is all themed around sort of Wolverine's history. It starts with Dakin, which I believe is the son of Wolverine NX-23. I think that's right. Yes.
I believe that's his son, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Dakin is a 3/4 with the on-reveal ability to add the Muramasa Shard to your hand. What's the Muramasa Shard? It is a 1/1 that says when this is discarded or destroyed, double Dakin's power. So, I really like this. I think it's really in flavor. It still fits with the ability that Wolverine has, where if he's discarded or destroyed, he regenerates with more power. In this case, though, if you destroy or discard the Muramasa Shard, now you have a 3/8. But it gets even crazier, right? Because we obviously know that people are going to try to make a greedy deck with this. So you're going to have your Moon Girls. You're going to have what else would we be able to duplicate it? I suppose like Arnim Zola's. There's going to be some weird stuff, I assure you, that's going to make Dakin a 3/20 or something. But base power, if you throw him in your deck that already has a benefit from discard or something, you're getting a 3/8, which is fantastic. What do you think about him?
I really like it. There's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with the shard. I think the biggest threat, I'd say, outside of cards that can duplicate, like you said, Moon Girl, or something like that, is probably just going to be like locations. If you can get like a Sinister Citadel or something, throw them all down and it duplicates it all, and then throw out, I don't know, like kill with cringemonger or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
And he just boom, 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 and he's up there, which I like. I always like whenever Dakin gets some praise because I he really isn't talked about a whole lot.
I mean, truth be
At
told,
least
I
not like in my personal group of people that I talk with.
I will say before Dakin was announced,
I think it's Dakin.
I have very limited experience. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if this is blasphemous to say. I'm not a huge X-Man fan. I have watched the movies obviously, and I have read some comics, but I have not gone so deep as to meet Dakin in a comic. Um, I have met X-23 before and Silver Samurai, but I'm actually unfamiliar with the rest of these characters, which is I think that's a good thing that Marvel Snap does. I didn't know the InfiNOT existed before Marvel Snap, but afterwards I was like, hell yeah, this is the best guy ever. So
True.
I'll
My
be excited to
friend
see it.
my friend Jaden reads a lot, or he used to read a lot of Marvel comics. He's kind of slowed down recently,
Hmm.
but whenever I was staying over at his house for a while, um, I just went through the list and he like gave me just a basic lore explanation of like who everyone was, and I knew who a lot of the people were, through the MCU and like the older Fox
Sure,
movies and
sure.
the cartoons and stuff like that. But like the people that I didn't know, like the InfiNOT, he was like, yeah, he's pretty much just, like a space, like dimension traveling Chad that's,
Yeah.
just kind of there to, help people out. And I was like, man, the InfiNOT sounds awesome.
Yeah, no, he has a limited amount of comics that he's in, but he's just a nice guy. He's literally an interdimensional tourist. He takes pictures and like is just cool. And apparently he comes from a macro dimension, which is bigger than ours, which is why when he arrives at Earth, he's like a world-ending threat because he's so big. I really love him. But yeah, Dakin, I'm sure is going to be great. I think I've heard that he's going to be the season pass card. I'm not 100% confirmed on that, but it kind of reminds me of Thor in that way. They're both 3/4s. They both have an extraneous thing that boosts their power. I think Dakin just fits into the destroy archetype a lot more.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So moving on. X-23. I am familiar with X-23. She is a scary son of a gun. Uh, so X-23 is a 1/2, and she is the description: when this is discarded or destroyed, regenerate it at a random location, and you get +1 energy next turn. This is an insane card. Are you joking? What do you like? What destroy deck are you not including this in? I don't know.
Right. And I like that it's a discard or destroy.
Yes, yes.
So you can still run X-23 in discard decks and still get value.
I think honestly
That
her
is
best combo is going to be with Colleen Wing, right? You just throw Colleen Wing and X-23 in any deck, and you've got yourself a really great combo that gets you some extra power. I think that's really cool. Do you have any creative ideas with this? The only thing that like really stands out to me is like you can just keep destroying her. She adds to null, she boosts all of your destroy cards, and she gives you more energy to work with. So you don't even need to necessarily have ramp to get your Arnim Zola combo or something.
Yeah. Let's see. I mean, she's pretty much just like a free Psylocke when she's destroyed.
Yeah.
So I mean, hold on. Let me just pull up my stereotypical destroy deck. I mean, you can destroy her turn 2 and then throw down a 4 cost. You can destroy her turn 1 and then go ahead and throw down like Deathlock if you wanted to, and then destroy her again, and
Yeah.
then get another one, and then you have a free 3/5 down on the board.
Yeah,
I mean,
honestly, I think her top end is the most exciting thing because I think honestly you throw her into a Deadpool deck, and the reason I say that is because all the things that are going to destroy Deadpool are also going to destroy her, and you get the benefit of ramp. The only thing that you don't
True.
get is the power differential, but in that instance, I think it's still worth it because you're getting cards out
And
faster.
then yeah, and your Deadpool is essentially free every turn because you're
Mm-hmm.
getting the one extra
Mm-hmm.
cost for him.
Absolutely, yeah. If I do get X-23, it's going in my Deadpool deck, but I'm gonna save all of my caches for another card that's coming up. But before we get to that, Silver Samurai, you said that you were excited about this card before we
I
started the
am.
podcast, and I'm inclined to agree. I think, particularly because I'm running this Black Bolt stature list, he's gonna fit in so nicely in there as a bridge between Moon Knight and Black Bolt, right? Because Moon Knight is a 3/3 that discards a random card in each player's hand, and Black Bolt is a 5/7 that discards the lowest cost card in your opponent's hand. So a Silver Samurai is a 4/5 that makes it so on reveal each player discards their lowest power card from their hand. What do you think about it?
I really like it. He is a 4/5, so he's coming out later in the game. But, because he's coming out later in the game, that means that all of your lower costs are probably out, assumedly. And, ideally, your deck is going to be structured for discarding, obviously, and the other person's might not be. So taking away their card is always a plus, especially if you throw him down and then next turn you Black Bolt.
Yep. Yeah.
I
Because
mean,
he focuses on the lowest power card in each player's hand, right? So you could get an Iron Man on their end, and you could throw away like an X-23. And then the next turn, you're discarding the lowest cost card from their hand, and at that point, you've pretty much slimmed down the options to pretty great cards, I feel. And then obviously the huge benefit here is he's a 4/5 still. 4/6 is a base stat line. 4/5 is great tempo, and obviously with Zabu, he gets even better. I talk about Zabu all the time. It has to come up every time a forecast is here. A 3/5 with this ability is just a better Moon Knight, in my opinion. Yeah, I think he's going to be really great. I feel like he's going to have a lot of places in here. Do you have anything more to say?
I don't know about the better Moon Knight, because Moon Knight just discards a random card, right?
Yes, which
He's
means
he's a more consistent Moon Knight, I'd say.
yes.
Moon Knight can still hit the money, and I mean, you know how big I am about those big maniac plays where you go for the 1 in a million.
Dude, that's why I have Ghost Rider in my deck, because I'm like, you know what? If it discards Ghost Rider, then it's good, and then if it doesn't, I have Ghost Rider. So
Hey,
I make
hey.
I make him a little more consistent.
I am an avid Blade enjoyer. Give me the
Oh my God.
chaos.
You are so you're
I'm
so
a
right.
psychopath.
Of course you'd support Moon Knight. Yeah, of course. Okay, yeah. So let's move on to the card that I am actually the most excited about, Lady Deathstrike. And let me tell you why I'm excited about Lady Deathstrike. She is a 5/3 with the on reveal to destroy each card here with less power than this. You might be asking yourself, hey Kiernimbus, Mr. Nimbus, why do you care so much about Lady Deathstrike?
Hey, Mr. Nimbus, why do you care so much about Lady Deathstrike?
Okay, I'll tell you exactly why.
Thank you.
This is easily the card that I think is going to get slept on that is actually just insane. Think about it. Not only could you do the obvious thing here and buff her to try to get her to a huge number so that way she destroys the entire board. I think her biggest application is going to be against cards like Iron Man or like Mr. Fantastic or like these cards that have low power but high impact on the board. If you were to go through the list of cards that have low power, I think you'd begin to see that it's insane what this would be able to do. Do you hate the goblins, Daka?
I'm not a fan of the goblins.
They're gone.
Well, okay, I take that back. I love the goblins, but I don't like them when they're against me.
Right.
It's a love-hate relationship.
They're gone. Iron Man, gone. Dracula, gone.
Oh, no, not Dracula.
Dracula
I love
gone.
Dracula.
Dracula's gone. He's a goner. Like Patriot gone. Jubilee gone. The list continues.
Oh no. I would hate to be a guy that's running Ultron and I only got my my Ultron bots to 3 power, and then you just
Yes.
throw down Deathstrike.
And I know this is
Oh
gonna hurt your
no.
soul, but Super Scroll gone, dead,
Why
destroyed.
would you do this to me?
Uh,
I
you know,
love Super Scroll.
Zabu gone. Uh, Wong gone.
Mystique gone.
Storm demolished. Although obviously,
I mean, this is a little late at that point.
yeah, but
Wait,
you get my point. What I'm trying to say here is all of these cards that like radically change the game are gone, destroyed, reduced to atoms.
you could also just, I mean, I know that, in Destroy you have a million other ways to get rid of the hood, but if for some reason your hood's still around
Mm-hmm.
on
Mm-hmm.
turn 5, gone.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, like, I do, like, I wish that, I think it won't apply to ongoing cards, obviously. I was thinking, like, oh man, is this like an easy Darkhawk counter? No, because Darkhawk's going to be, powerful. He's a 4/0, yes, but I think it calculates current power. So, in a similar way, you're not going to be able to, like, take down a Morbius or something. But yeah, all of this to say, I think Lady Deathstrike is going to be a really interesting card, and she pairs well with cards you don't see that often, like Nakia or like Okoye, because when you draw her, she only gets better every time you do that. I think the only stipulation is that she's not going to destroy all the things on the board, it's only at that location. So
Yeah.
I will say, I think that she's going to be a niche card, but it's going to be a great tech against these cards that typically have 0 or 1 counter. Especially Dracula. Like, everybody's been complaining, get rid of Dracula, he doesn't have a counter. Well, boom, now he does. I think it's great, especially against like the Patriot decks or the Cerebro decks or all of these things.
It's such a bad use for the card, but I cannot wait until someone plays the Daredevil and he's like, oh man, what's he gonna do? And I'm just gonna throw down Lady Deathstrike right on top of that Daredevil,
Yep.
so they can watch the death of Daredevil just
Yep.
imminent.
And obviously, this card does get better with buffs, with ramp, with all of these things. So I'm really excited to see what people do with Lady Deathstrike. Personally, I think all of these other cards are really interesting. Like, I'd love to have a Silver Samurai in my Black Bolt list, but I'm probably saving my caches for Lady Deathstrike. I just think that there's a lot of interesting things you can do there. With that being said, those are the cards that are announced. There are some other things to talk about, but they're mostly cosmetic. The things that I do want to cover, though, involve the new locations. Have you seen these?
No, I have not.
Yeah,
I'm looking
so
at them now.
great. Yeah, so the first one is Valley of the
Oh,
Hand. After turn 5, your destroyed cards revive here. So it really decentivizes an early Shang-Chi because they're just going to be brought back there. I actually don't know if this is good for destroy lists. It's okay for destroy lists, but like if you're destroying a Bucky and like a Deadpool turn 3, it's not that great, right?
yeah.
I don't know. I think
'Cause-
Phoenix decks are going to love this place though.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's going to have some really strong synergies with certain decks. I don't know. I don't think your like typical
Honestly,
destroy list is going to care.
I think biggest um the biggest benefactors of this is gonna be just people that are playing against destroy decks that get some of their cards destroyed, because they'll come back after turn 5.
Yeah, that's a good point. I also think this is poor Negasonic Teenage Warhead. I want to like that card, but there are just so many things that make it bad, including this location. Like, oh yeah, I don't care if it gets destroyed; it'll just come back, and then I get rid of your 3/5. But yeah, the other location that's coming out is the Yoshida base, and it says at the end of the game, destroy the last card to get here. Now, I'm gonna tell you, I like this location, but I also hate it because it's so mind gamey. It depends on priority. It depends on how much you're willing to gamble in that location. It almost reminds me of Rickety Bridge in that way, where it's like, did you have your I don't know, like it's the last turn and you have a Shang-Chi and let's just say like a Polaris, right? So you play your Polaris and you sheet a base, your opponent doesn't play there and now you win. Or they play like a Squirrel Girl there, and since you didn't have priority, now you lose your Polaris. I think it's going to be tricky. I don't know if I love it.
It's definitely going to be interesting seeing how it's going to affect people, but I'm down for it. I don't know. I'm always down for another level of mind game.
I will say,
I feel like at the end of the day, that's what card games are. Is you're mind gaming people.
I do like this location because I am a Vision and Captain Marvel enjoyer, and those cards, really good here. Just solid. Oh, wait a minute. Last card to get here. Does that include move?
That includes move.
Holy moly.
Which, hold on, that's not the end of the world, because keep in mind, moves happen before the actual turn does.
Oh, you're so right.
Because, so if you move something, and then they play something there, whatever they play is done. It's destroyed.
And if they don't play something
happens
there,
before.
Again, it's
But
still
if they don't play something,
it's still a mind game.
It's a mind game.
Yeah. It's just like chicken. But yeah, that's interesting. I think that might be the only location with that kind of interaction. That's so interesting. The last card to get here. That's interesting. I didn't even register that. But anyway, the locations are cool. I like all the new cards. Do you have anything to say before we wrap up this section and head to the roadmap?
Other than, I think a lot of the variants that are coming out, I really, really like. Yep. Specifically, the Red Skull variant, the Spider-Man variant, and the Storm variant, I think are all really, really cool.
Yeah, the anime variants with Cap, but dude, the anime variant for Spider-Man, I actually want. I think that's super cool. And then all of the mech ones are great too. The mech ones are done by the same artist that does the base art, so they look really natural, which I really, really love. And you're totally right. Red Skull looks dope.
Blessed be Kaiju Stegron.
Yes,
Kaiju it looks so sick.
So cool. I don't actually own Stegron. Do you?
I do.
How is he?
He's a tad bit. He can be a bit inconsistent sometimes, but I haven't used him a whole lot. But I am a Stegron enjoyer. I think he's a fun card. He's just a juggernaut, except he works
whenever.
He works whenever. So I don't know. He's fun. I like him.
I think if I had Stegron, I might put him into my Black Bolt list, just as a good card. Like, hey, he gets buffed by Zabu, and also you can sort of game it like, okay, even if I don't hit the biggest thing there, I might be able to still swing it, and then I have my, 2 1/6s that I can play after, that kind of thing. I think there's some value there. But anyway, that's a bit off topic. Are you ready to talk about the development roadmap that came out? This is sort of big. There's some things in here that I love and some things that are just to me.
I haven't really looked at it, but I'm ready to go through it.
Okay, so I've been trying to follow the development roadmap. It's the thing that I look forward to most, since it gives a good idea of what's coming, especially when it comes to like new modes and things like that. And this is a small shout out to Snap.fan. If you want to sponsor us, I will sing the high praises forever. Snap.fan has some incredible things on their website, including an article that delves into the development roadmap and what it offers. So just going down the list, I'm going to go through the coming soon in development and in concept, and then we can talk about things that we want to talk about. So coming soon, PC launch, Twitch drops, card upgrade improvements, seasonal audio, conquest polish, Infinite Rank revamp, and Global Matchmaking Phase 1. Do any of these things particularly interest you? I have like 3 on here that I'm super excited about.
I am excited about the PC launch, card upgrade improvements, the conquest polish, and global matchmaking.
Yes, I think all of those things are really valuable. I especially am looking forward to the PC launch because I don't necessarily think my layout is bad, but it's hard to make a good layout for Marvel
Yeah,
Snap right now. Um,
as they say, well, the widescreen.
yes, I am very excited about it. I've also heard that they're going to really focus on making it high fidelity, so you'll be able to see these cards in like HD. It'll be great.
Oh, I can't. I need that right now. I need the card upgrade announcer HD. I need it.
I mean, I'll be honest, it looks fine now, but I'm what I'm thinking is since the cards are going to be bigger on your screen, especially in like widescreen mode, I think they've said that they're focusing on that too for the phone. They've got to focus on the art. I think that's the most important thing that we're all looking forward to. I'm also excited about Twitch drops. That's dope. I think the idea that you can get stuff for watching people is amazing, and if we know anything about the Marvel Snap economy, I will take anything. I will take anything for free.
Give me credits, give me gold. I mean, it would be crazy if like there was some big event and they were like, "Hey, you could get like a Twitch drop cash or something, where you can get like certain cards." That would be a great way to advertise like their new cards or stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree.
And maybe it doesn't even have to be like the card itself, but if there was like a limited time Twitch drop variant that you could get, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, the possibilities they're all there. They could do great things with Twitch drops.
And honestly, I think I like the variant bit more because in the event that you don't own the card, you still get to play with it early and have to unlock it later, right? So I think that still feeds into their whole business. The last thing that I am excited about is global matchmaking. I don't think it's explicitly stated other than like reading up in forums, but yeah, right now if another player's in a different region, you're never going to match into them. Like currently, I'll never match into Kawa. It's not like I would anyway, he's too high rank. But if I were to try to rank or match up against Kawa, I wouldn't be able to. And same goes for people that live on like the west coast of the United States versus the east coast because it's based on servers. So global matchmaking is going to make it much more accessible. It's going to make queue time shorter, and you're going to get more interesting decks because they're not going to be limited to a certain region.
Yeah. And I mean, I think one of the bigger setbacks is latency and stuff like that between regions, but I feel like in card games it's not as latency isn't as big of a factor, right?
Yeah.
Because y'all are just putting cards down on a board. So I think that's really nice, and I can't wait to get my stuff kicked in by different decks that I'm going to be experiencing.
Yeah, I can't wait for characters from a language I don't understand coming in with a deck that's 80 times better than mine. It's going to be awesome. That being said, the other things here I think are noteworthy. I'm just not like over the moon about it. The card upgrade improvements is basically like, hey, you get to upgrade multiple times in a row, which is a time saver. The seasonal audio is pretty neat, although I play muted while I'm at work. I should say I'm not working and playing Marvel Snap. When I'm on my lunch break, I play on muted. So the only time I really get to hear the music is when I'm streaming. The Conquest polish, I'm not a Conquest player, but I'm sure it'll be nice. And the other thing I'm curious about is the Infinite Rank revamp. I don't think they've said what that means, but I hope it's cool.
Maybe they'll like add tiers or something, or maybe they'll make it like kind of how like example how top 500 was in Overwatch, where you can be infinite, but you can also be like, oh, I don't know, like Infinite One or something like that, like like to really amp up the competitiveness and really show who the top dogs are. And I guess that also means that there won't, with global matchmaking, that, you know, being infinite is you're infinite in the world now. You're not just
Mm,
infinite in your region,
yeah.
which is going to be interesting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think a leaderboard is probably the best thing that they could do. Although I've also heard that like maybe they're gonna change the reward from a very like a card back to something else
You
more
know,
substantial or
I
something.
I agree. Because me personally, I wouldn't mind pushing to infinite because I really do like the infinite card backs. But I also think that, I mean, realistically, I think that they could swap out the card backs and I don't know, like throw them on Omega and then push back the the um the icon because like I got the icon's cool, but like I don't know, I feel like I would rather have a card back for something like Omega than just an icon
Yeah, and
because I feel like most of the time people don't really look at icons as significantly as they do card backs.
I would say the exact same thing, right? Like when I just streamed for like a little over an hour today. I can't remember any of the card backs that I saw. I know what I use, but that's because I'm looking at my cards most of the time. So I don't know. I think whatever they end up doing will be interesting. I just can't say whether or not it'll be good or bad. That being said, in the next section they have in development. These are things like to give some context here. The coming soon stuff was in development in the last roadmap. In fact, I think the PC launch went from in concept to coming soon, so that's exciting. It means that it's not necessarily limited, but that being said, in development right now, stuff that they're thinking or probably in the next 2 to 3 months is prestige level. I have no idea what that means. I don't know what kind of prestige level. Apparently, I'll talk about it. There's a little bit that was revealed by Glenn, I think. Spotlight cache improvements, which are actually not improvements, and we'll also talk about that. Collectible emotes and card emojis. I'm actually kind of excited for. Apparently they're going to expand the amount of emotes that you can get, and also, you know when you click on a card, you have three options like the starry eyes, the shocked face, and the angry face.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to have emotes for every single card in the game, meaning that you could have an InfiNOT doing those three things. You could have an arrow doing all three of those things. You could have like, I don't know, if you really wanted to, a squirrel girl doing all three of those things. I think that's cute. I like if there was a pack that was like $1.99, buy an InfiNOT emote thing. Sure, I'd do that. That's super cool.
Man, do you think that we could get it for like Ninja or Monster or like the Raptors that
Oh,
pop out? That would be
that
awesome.
that would be cool, like the tokens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, Personalized shop, which I feel like I want to be excited about this, but I feel like it's going to be random and it's not going to be personalized. I feel, but yeah, we'll see. Smart decks, which I'm not a huge.
Is that just like I'm assuming it sounds like it's probably just like an auto deck builder.
Which I don't like. Like I get it, I could see its use, but a huge part of
I
this game is the deck building.
I think for a casual look at things for people that just want to, I don't know, maybe like, oh, I want like destroy cards and I want it to include like, like maybe like these three cards, just throw something together. Ultimately, it's going to depend on how good the actual auto deck builder would be. But I think for like a casual view on things, for maybe they don't care about card building as much. I would at least like the accessory to be there for people that aren't willing or just don't want to put in the time because that's fine because ultimately you enjoy the game however you enjoy the game. If that's not something that you're really into deck building, I know me personally, I love building decks, but I would rather them have the feature there and a lot of people not really use it than them not have it and then the small majority of people that would like something like that and don't feel like looking up decks for all this. And I feel like it's also really good for like for instance whenever I got Mr. Negative, I wanted to do a really good Mr. Negative deck. I looked up a few different decks and they all had Zabu, and I was like, well, okay, I have knowledge in the game, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna go with Psylocke instead. It's a good slot in since I don't have Zabu, but I feel like this will also help you get good fillers if you're missing some cards that you don't have yet, which I think could also be really nice for, because ultimately card obtaining in this game can be rough sometimes.
Yeah, I would agree with you that for a casual player, I think it has a lot of value. What I would say though is, I don't know, it's the inner hipster in me. I know it's sort of ironic because I share decks and I really like sharing decks. But I feel like even when net decking, usually what you do is you look up a bunch of decks and you say, okay, I can look at these people that made these decks and decide which one I want to go with. If Do they have a really cool description about it? Do they have a video on it? Or are there really good stats? What I'm really scared about is how smart are these decks going to be? If somebody gets high Evo and then presses one button and gets the high Evo best deck that has the best win rate and cube rate, yes, there is a learning curve, but also they just have access to the most powerful deck in the game. You know what I mean? I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's going to depend on how smart the actual smart deck builder is. But like I said, I think ultimately I would rather the feature be there than it not be. Um, because I have enough faith in the community that, if it even if it does autocorrect to the most meta deck that it can possibly think of, people's own personal enjoyment will win out that. And I feel like the big thing with card games is you run into, at least me personally, I run into a lot of really niche, weird, wacky decks that don't always hit, but when they do hit, they hit in a good way. And I know that that's a big thing for a lot of people, is creating something that's wacky, that doesn't always work, but when it works really, really good. And I feel like that's what a big part of the enjoyment is, out of games like Marvel Snap and just card games in general.
Yeah, I agree with you fully. So that's my piece on smart decks. Moving on, new infinite splits and split system improvements. So I'm sure that if you upgrade a card all the way to infinite, you can split it, it gets a rainbow background, and then if you split it again, it gets a random effect. You split it enough times, you can get a gold background, or you can get a black and white card. I think what this is saying is you'll have access to more effects on the infinite splits, which is pretty exciting. Although I've only gotten like one card to more than 4 splits because I'm usually playing a bunch of different decks. I don't know. I think for the people that really like the splitting experience and trying to get that perfect combination of border and background and all that stuff, it'll be exciting. For me, it's eh. I will say, if they ever add the ability to pick what color border you have, that would make me the happiest man in the world.
I definitely agree. I think picking the color of your border is, I'm kind of surprised that it's not in already, but I can understand with just other things taking priority, because ultimately it's really not that big of a deal, but it would be a nice it would be a nice touch.
Yeah, because like the argument that they had before was that, well, you wouldn't be able to tell what upgrade point it is. And my argument to that is, okay, but no matter what color you choose, it means that you've unlocked the ones before it, right?
Yeah.
So at worst, you're proposing that you haven't upgraded it that much. That shouldn't impact gameplay, personally. And also, I would say I think it would make me less scared to upgrade my cards, because right now I have like 53 cards that I'm not upgrading because I like the border color. I think aesthetically it's very cool. And I feel like a lot of people may have more than me in that category. So I don't know.
Yeah, and
No, go
I
ahead.
think I think the big bonus of it would be to be able to change the border color but keep the effect, right? So like on cards where you
Yes.
really like the green border or the blue border, you can still have the out of frame 3D animated card, but just have a different border color.
Yeah, that's been an ask since beta, and I don't know. I'm hoping that the split system improvements kind of covers that. I would really appreciate that. And then the only other thing in the in development section is the ultimate variant evolution. So we'll talk about it in a bit, but they're introducing I'm gonna go ahead and forward time just a smidge. In concept, there's mythic variants. They're saying that they're going to change the ultimate variants. You know, the ones in your shop that cost a ridiculous amount of tokens, which is even more ridiculous now because they're harder to get.
Yes.
Mythic variants apparently are going to be so insane that it'll make ultimate variants look like a joke. Like, mythic variants are going to have their own custom VFX with their own sound bites, with their own look and feel, and they're going to be completely different from the card that you're usually playing. And if it's in the current system that we're in, that means that it's going to be, I almost guarantee you, like 10,000 tokens or something absolutely ridiculous that no one is going to pay for. So I don't know.
It sounds really cool in concept, and I would love to get my hands on some. But yeah, that sounds like you're gonna be waiting a while to get them, or you're just gonna have to pull out the wallet for it, which I'm never a big fan of.
Like, dude, I constantly remind myself that, like, to get a what is it, like a super rare variant, you have to pay $20 in gold to get it if you don't already have the gold. I think that's ridiculous. That is so insane. Like, I'm a salmon. I occasionally spend $5 to get some gold if I'm like just close enough to get a 700 one. I don't think I've ever spent $20 on gold. And the reason why is because I cannot justify it. It's really hard to, when you put it in frame of reference, like, okay, if I were to take this to another game, and try that out, like, Enter the Gungeon is $15. You know how many hours I have in Enter the Gungeon?
Too many.
I have like 500 hours in Enter the Gungeon. It is $15 on Steam. So to me, when you're telling me, hey, you can buy this card that is essentially an NFT for $20, why? And then you're trying to convince me that I need to spend over $100 to get this like mythic variant. I'll never spend the cash ever. And it's so sad because I'm sure that people will, and I think it's a bad spending habit. All of this to say, if they're going to change the ultimate and mythic variants, I hope that it makes it like an RNG thing that you can get for free. I think that would be more exciting and would be more hype, because a random person might get like an Adam Warlock mythic variant just from pulling it in a cache, and now they're going to play that Adam Warlock in all of their decks, and every time somebody sees it, they're going to be in awe. I hope that's the case, and it's not something you just pull out your wallet for.
I agree. I think it would be a nice touch if you could pull it. Honestly, if they even wanted to throw them in spotlight caches and have that be one of the things that you can pull from a spotlight cache, I personally wouldn't be that upset about it.
Yeah, I think that would be really good. And moving on from that topic, because I think there's just so much to say there. I do want to, since we're talking about the economy of the game, the spotlight cache improvements. Have you taken a look at what they've done here?
No, I have not.
Here is the only improvement I see here. The idea that it's not like a one-tap open. It says hold to open, so you're not accidentally opening your cache. That's the improvement. Here's what they did that they're calling an improvement. So right now in the current system, when you're opening a spotlight cache, you have the ability to get one of the featured cards if you don't own it, or you can get a random Series 4, Series 5, And in the case that you don't get that, you get 1,000 tokens. This current system is like I've said it before, I'm not super impressed with it. I think in the long term it might be better, but I don't know. It's a hard sell. So now they're changing things in the regular collector's reserves, the ones you get after your Series 3 complete. Right now, the way that it works is you can get like 50 tokens or some credits or whatever. And now they're changing it so you get a 50% chance at a gold conquest ticket or a 50% chance at 100 tokens. This is bad.
I definitely agree.
You know, because like if they want to go that route, then just give us the medals. Especially because this isn't going to I don't care about gold conquest tickets. I'm going to lose. It's just a waste of time for me. Why would I ever want that?
I don't see why they would put gold conquest tickets there.
Or hell, why not make it at that point, why not make it an infinity ticket? It's such a weird, it's almost like a. And here's the thing, like, for people that play Conquest consistently, they are already grinding gold tickets. They don't need one more out of a spotlight, or excuse me, out of a collector's reserve. Who cares? I don't know. It's such a weird change.
Right. I feel like I would rather just get the tokens. Honestly, I feel like it should be like a 50% chance for like 100 gold. Ideally, like 50% chance for like 100 gold, or like a 50% chance for like 150, 200 tokens. I feel like that would be much better, because then it's either going to, mystery variants or credits, or you could, I don't know, get a new card, which would be awesome. Especially because if you're Series 3 complete, all the cards you need still are Series 4 and Series 5, which you can only obtain with tokens.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. It's such a weird change, especially because why not just increase the base amount of tokens we're getting? Who does that hurt? Right now,
like
it just seems so greedy. I hate using that word because obviously this game needs to make money. I understand, right? They have both Marvel and their parent company breathing down their necks. They need to make money. I think that they make a ton of money. I don't know. This is just so weird. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I agree.
I don't think we need to be overly negative about it. I'm sure that they're doing things they want to do them. I don't care about a gold conquest ticket. I don't feel like I'm the only one that doesn't care. And it would be much better just to give us 100 tokens or 150 tokens. Because it's still going to take forever to get the amount that we need for a Series 4 or 5 card, but at least it would soften the blow. Right now, it feels like an impossible ladder to climb. And now it's an all or nothing. You either get tokens or you don't, which feels worse. So I don't know. All of this to say, we can now move on to the in-concept stuff, and we'll quickly go through them. The guilds and social systems, controller support, a new game mode coming, which is left blank. I think the idea is they're still working on some stuff. And then season journey improvements. So I would assume things like the battle pass and things like that. Starting with the guilds and social systems, when can we get a gosh darn spectate system? Why can't I spectate people when they're playing a game? Why is that so out of whack? I don't know. I also don't particularly care about guilds in mobile games. Have you really subscribed to that at all?
No, not really. I mean, I think it's a cool concept. Like that, it's nice to have. Because you can make like a smaller group that like you like sharing stuff with, which I never think is a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, and PC controller support. I think you have to have it for accessibility reasons.
Yeah.
What I'm really hoping is that this is opening the door for releases on consoles. I think it would be awesome to play Marvel Snap on my Switch, personally. I think that would be great.
I think that's what it is too, is just opening that door for stuff.
Because I think having it on PC and like mobile, let's be frank, is the most accessible thing for everyone. So obviously that needs to be their target. I love the fact that a PC launch is coming soon. I'm really excited about it. But I think really opening that up for other things like the PS5, the Xbox, the Nintendo Switch, these things will increase the play rate just by proxy. And then the only other thing that we can really talk about here is like the possible new game modes. Is there a game mode that you feel like Marvel Snap is missing right now? I have like two in mind.
I think one that would be fun would be like 2v2s.
Oh, okay.
I think that could be cool. Um,
How would that work? Would you just have like more locations and then like I guess it's
yeah,
simultaneous turns, so there's still that.
yeah, you could do just like, new locate or more locations and a bigger board. I mean, ideally, you probably wouldn't do like, shared um a shared resource, especially if you can just queue with another random person,
Ooh,
because that would be a little weird.
how exciting would it be if the rule was that you could play 2v2 with somebody, but you can't share a card in either of your decks?
That would be pretty cool.
I think that would be interesting. That would open like a whole new meta.
That would. You could have like specific 2v2 like decks and stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be fun. I like that. I also think draft would be really good. Like I don't know, like a Hearthstone arena mode where you go in, you pick random cards, and you try to do the best with the deck that you got. I think that would be really fun and would make it so you could play with cards you don't own. I think that would be really cool. I think the argument against it is that a second dinner would be like, well, we don't want people to have access to cards that they can't play all the time. But we have locations like that one that gives you a random card in your hand, or X Mansion that allows a random card to pop out. I don't think it's out of the ordinary. I think you could also tie it to a resource like, hey, you have to spend 50 gold to get in here, so you're not just like hammering that out all day. Yeah, I also think that they could probably do.
Lest we never forget District X.
Believe me, I love District X. If you can't hear the sarcasm in my voice, it's because I don't love District X. I want to play my deck. No, but I also think that, like, would it be, I don't know, would it be boring if you had a game mode that was just ruins?
Because there are cards in the game that make their own locations, such as Magic and Storm and other things like that, I would say no. With how frequent they are now, like right now in the meta,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't necessarily be the most opposed to it. I would put it like this. I would definitely rather get that than District X or Weird World or anything like that.
Because, like, I don't know. I think a bit, and this is like a larger issue. Do we need like a tournament mode? Because, like, I don't follow tournaments all that much, but a common complaint that I hear is that, like, right now, if you get ego on like a turn 6 of a tournament finisher, it's like, well, that was random and the person wins. And I get that randomness is inherent in Marvel Snap, but it would be nice to have a little bit of control over those sort of more competitive modes.
I think a tournament mode would be nice, where they obviously you want to keep a lot of the locations in play, but take out stuff like ego or ego District X. I think locations like X Mansion ultimately are fine. Just one random card at a location isn't going to ruin your entire game plan. It definitely
Sure.
can. Sometimes in very rare scenarios, but I don't think it's like the end all. Um, but I think removing, like the big ones, like I said, Weird World or District X, or even like Deep Space or like Nowhere, or like ones that like heavily sway certain card types, I guess,
Mm.
like Death's Domain or something like that, being kind of shuffled out.
Yeah, I think you could make an argument that you could have like a mode where you can customize it, because I mean ultimately a game, it's a game's longevity almost entirely depends on the creativity that its player base can have on it. Fortnite is still alive.
Somehow.
Minecraft is still alive. Roblox is still alive. And these games continue to stay alive because there's so much creative input that people have on the game. And I think in a similar way, if you were to open up the floodgates and be like, hey, you can play this game literally however you want, I think that would make people more interested in playing. But I'm always the advocate for laissez-faire. So I think I would be excited to see what new game modes they come up with. If it's anything like battle mode, I think it'll be successful. But I will have to see. I would really dislike to see something that was like, I don't know, underwhelming that no one plays. Because right now the two game modes slap, right? You have ladder, you have conquest. They both do really good jobs at what they're doing.
Whoa,
But
whoa. Don't discount friendly battle now.
hey, no,
I love me
I'm
some
not
friendly
discounting
battle.
it. Friendly battles are great. But yeah, I think new game modes really open the door for new things. So with all of that said, that is all the new news to do with Marvel Snap. You and I have been sort of conflict heavy in terms of our schedules, so there was a lot to catch up on. But how are you feeling about the future of Marvel Snap? Do you think it's going in a good direction? Are you happy with it?
I think overall we are going in a good direction. I feel like the pros outweigh the cons so far.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as long as we keep moving in this direction and, maybe make a few adjustments in the future, I think, Marvel Snap will be around for a very long time, which I'm happy with. It is the only card game that has ever really grasped me and pulled me
Mm-hmm.
in.
Mm-hmm.
And, I love grinding this game. I think it's fun. I enjoy it. I understand, more casual people probably don't want to grind it, but I mean, I still think even if you don't want to grind it, just as far as Series 1 and Series 2 goes, I think it's just, at the very least, a fun game to just jump into,
Mm-hmm.
play a few rounds, and then hop off.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, man. It's strange because I don't like playing one game for more than like 2 hours, but I do love playing Marvel Snap. I wouldn't be making content if I didn't. I feel like it has a lot of potential, and I'd love to see all these new things coming up. I am so excited for the PC mode. I'm really excited for the Loki season that's coming up. We talked about that in our last episode. And yeah, I feel like it's gonna be okay. I think the monetization is always going to be a battle, but in terms of the gameplay, I just feel it can't be beat. So with that being said, Daka, thank you so much for joining me. And if there's
Of
one
course.
thing that you all can remember, is that we're InfiNOT. Okay, goodbye.